Good morning, dear learner. Today we are starting a very important topic, especially in the field of the research process in the physical education and sports sciences, classification of research based on the method. And this lecture we will focus on the descriptive research. So exactly the first and important thing to what is the descriptive research is. As the name is suggested, descriptive research is used to describe the situation, condition or phenomenon as it exists without the changing anything. It means if you want to describe any kind of the situation, if you describe any kind of the conditions, so you go through the descriptive research. Next important thing is in the last classes we discuss different type of the classification of research. Generally the purpose, based on the purpose and based on the approach. Today we will discuss about the on the basis of method, the classification of research. The first important thing is the classification of research by the method. So descriptive research is used to describe a situation simple and describe a condition or a phenomenon is an important thing as it exists without changing anything. In simple words, this research giving the answer just like the question to what is happening in the world, what is happening in a specific situation, what is happening in a specific of condition, rather than the why is happening. So we should focus on what is happening rather than the why it is happening. The next, this important thing is that on the basis of the classification of research. Today we will discuss the classification of research by the method. So research can be classified on the basis of the method used to investigate different type of the problems. Just like the word of methods means the procedure. The method, on the basis of method we can describe and classify the research. The method means the procedure or technique used by the researcher to collect the data, analyze the data and interpret the data. The important thing of the on the basis of method, the classification of research is directly related to the collection, analyzing and interpretation of information or data. In a simple language, it explains how the researcher studies the research problem in a scientific and systematic way. That is an important thing. Any type of the research problems you solve in a specifically in a scientific way, in a planned way and a systematic way. The research method also help the researcher and physical education teacher and sports sciences to analyze the or the collected information properly. The first we collected the information and then after that we can go for the analysis. Just like we giving the example, the numerical data may be analyzed using the different kind of the statistical software, while descriptive information may be analyzed through interpretation and thematic understanding. So therefore the classification based on method help the researcher to select suitable technique for the conducting accurate and meaningful research. The important thing is in the research based on methods, it helps to the researcher for the selecting the appropriate method, procedure, tool. Main purpose is to conducting accurate and meaningful research, so the students and learner remember that the method of research explain the way in which the entire research process carried out. The all research process from beginning to the end, how all these processes carried out. So this is a type of, this is called the method of research. So from the collecting of data to analyzing the result and drawing the at the end of the conclusion of research. The next important thing on the basis of method, the research is main type of research by methods is different types. Just like number one is descriptive type, second analytical, third is experimental research, fourth is historical research, fifth is survey based. So today we will discuss the main type of research based on method, and our focus is on especially first is the descriptive research. In the first phase we go discuss about the descriptive research. The first understanding this clearly, that descriptive research is used to describe what already exists. Important thing in descriptive research is means you should describe what you want to describe. Important thing is the things already is exist. So first we establish the existence, the things is exist, then you go for the descriptive of these things on the basis of descriptive research. So descriptive research is used to describe what already exists. Important thing, so it does not involve the changing of variable. Important thing is because the thing is already exist, and does not involve the changing of variable or giving any kind of the treatment. It's simply observe, simply record, simply present fact in a systematic way. So in a simple language, descriptive research answer the questions of what is happening with the help of the descriptive research. Next important thing in the descriptive research, so descriptive research focus on the describing the characteristic of a population. So descriptive research is a type of research that describe and explain the current situation. It is means the existence, you describe it with the help of descriptive research. It is means the current situations, current situation, behavior, condition, characteristics of person, characteristics of group, of any phenomenon. So it helps the researcher to understand what is happening without the changing or without the controlling anything. In easy words, the descriptive research important thing is this is the process as it's called, or this is descriptive research is the collect the information to present fact clearly and important things because is based on the existence. In a descriptive research which collect the information from the existence, it means the present fact and systematically. So for example, they're studying the fitness level of the student, performance of any player of current situation, any type of parent patterns, health related habits of the player or any person. The next important thing is the descriptive research. So descriptive research, this is the process. The first in the descriptive research we go for the identify the problems. So define and clearly stated the research problems. And research problem is first phase of the starting of the descriptive research. Next step in the descriptive research, we go for the review of related literature. It is means the review related literature and studies to understand the problem better. For example, you have the problems you want to describe any current situations. So with the help of the research and the previous researches and review of literature is giving you more understanding about of these all these. After that, the selection of sample. So select a representative sampling from the populations. Which type of research you want to carry it out. The important thing, on the basis of research, on the basis of your outcome, we select the appropriate number of sample. After that, we go for the data collection. We collect the data using the suitable tool, because we have the different type of tool to select or to collect the information of data. To simple the, just like the other researches in a descriptive research, we select the appropriate tool to collect the information of existence. Next important thing is the organize and present the data. So this is the art of the researcher, because the research is a science and art. Researcher, how they organize and present the data in the form of table, classify the present data in a table, graph and chart, etc. And after that, analyzing and interpretation of data. To analyze the data using the appropriate statistical method and interpret the result. The important thing, with the help of different statistical tool, statistical software, we select the appropriate test, and after that we represent the data in an appropriate manner, and because it will helpful to the draw the conclusion. So we have some key features of the descriptive researches. Number one is they describe the characteristic of population. First important thing, the descriptive research help to describe the characteristics of the population. Second, it does not manipulate the any variable, because it's based on the existence, and seek to find out what is actually. Next important thing, to use the questionnaire, observation, interview and other data collection method for the collecting of data. So the important thing is Descriptive research is based on existence. They have the different type of descriptive design, just like survey method design of use in the descriptive research. We also use of normative survey design in the descriptive research. We also use of case study in the descriptive research design. We also use of comparative studies in the descriptive design, and correlation studies. Important thing is to find out what is happening in a current situation. Next important thing is that in a descriptive research, the descriptive research focus on describing the characteristic of population, because we already discussed of many times that this main purpose of descriptive research is means to describe the characteristic of population. Now let us clearly understand the concept of descriptive research is simple and practical. With the descriptive research focus on the describing the characteristics of population and any kind of the situation. It does not try to change anything. Instead they carefully observe and record what already is exist. The important thing, the thing is exist. We collect the from the existence with use of different tool the information, and after that we describe the characteristic of the populations. In especially the research descriptive research, we have the type of mainly answer the question just like what is happening in a current situation, where it is happening, in when it is happen, and how it is happening. So, but remember, it does not answer why it is happening. An important thing with the descriptive research. So let us understand this with a example which in relation to this sports and physical education. Suppose we want to study the daily physical activity pattern of the student of the any universities, just like the legal Muslim universities. The first we collect the data about the what activity they perform. After that we find out where they perform the activities, when they perform, how frequently they perform. So this type of questions or this type of answer we will find out with the help of the descriptive research. It is a systematic collected data because the research is a plan and systematic procedure, and this just like the research and descriptive research will also be a systematic process to collecting the data. It's present an accurate picture of current situation. It describes the existence, condition and behavior. Simply it helps in understanding what is happening. It does not involve any kind of the manipulation with the variables. It means you just describe the current situation. An important thing is the objective of descriptive research. So we have the different kind of the objective of descriptive research. The primary objectives, secondary objectives. The primary objectives first is to describe the characteristic of population. It means in a simple word we describe research, and descriptive research help us to understand what kind of the pupil behave or in a different situations. It's give the clear picture of their features, quality, pattern, situation. And let us understand with the sports example. Suppose you are studying in a group of basketball player. You collect the information about their height, their fitness, their skill, their training. Here you are describing the characteristic of the football player. You are not just changing anything. So you just giving in your statistical table his height of this one, his weight is this one, his skill of this one, his fitness level of this one. It means just is the current status. We cannot change, we cannot manipulate of any one variables. Next important thing is the objective of descriptive research is to identify pattern and trend in data. In a simple terms, this means descriptive research help us to find regularities, common behavior and changes over time in the data, because we have some type of same behavior changes. So let us understand with the simple example. Suppose you collect the data on the students of physical activity level over 1 year. After the analyzing of data, you find some answer, just like most students are more active in a winter than in summer. Participation in sports increased during intercollegiate competition. Gym uses of higher in the evening compared to the morning. So these repeated observation are called the pattern. Which type of pattern you find out through the descriptive research, you also be find out the pattern and changes over the time. This is called the trend. Which type of trend they perform. The descriptive research does not just the collecting the data. It is also help us to organize and analyze it in a way that the meaningful pattern and trend become visible. Important thing is the meaningful patterns and what type of trend which is visible with the help of data. So through the descriptive research we find out on that. Next important thing is objective of descriptive research is determining the relationship between the variables. Simple, we have different type of variables, independent variables and dependent variables. Through the descriptive research, we try determining the relationship. This means the descriptive research help us to see whether two or more variables are related to each other and how they change together. The important thing, we giving some example, just like we suppose we study of relationship between the training and performance level. If we observe that a player who train more tend to perform better, we can say that there is a positive relationship between the training and the performance. So with the help of descriptive research, we find out this type of trend. So this is very important to understand that descriptive research show association, not causation. Important thing is it tell us that the variable are connected but not why they are connected. The important thing is we find out the answers. Both variable is reflected, both variable are connected, but why is connected, it is not the part of the descriptive research. In the field of physical education, this descriptive research help the coaches and researchers to understand the performance factor, the player performance factor, teacher performance factor, student performance factor, identify important variable affecting the performance of athlete, plan further experimental studies. So the descriptive research help us to identify and understand the relationship between the variables. Important thing in which is an important step toward the deeper scientific investigation. Next objective of the descriptive research is to provide baseline information for further research. Important thing is provide the collecting the data of existence. It is provide the baseline information. This will helpful to the future research. In a simple term, the baseline information means the initial or starting data about the any situation, any subject, any population. This data become the foundation of the future research. On the basis of this data, we can develop, we can go establish a foundation of the future research. So let's we understand with the simple example which is related to the sports. Suppose a researcher studies current fitness level of the school students, so their endurance, their strength level, their flexibility level, their BMI. So this data give us a clear starting point. Later, if you train giving the training program is introduced, the researcher can compare new result with this baseline data to see the improvement. So first we collect the baseline data, and after we giving any kind of training, any kind of intervention, and after the intervention we collect the post data, and this data is helpful to find out the changes between pre and post. So this is the very important objective of descriptive research. Next important thing, the characteristics. So what type of the characteristics of descriptive research? Now let us understand the characteristics of descriptive research in a very clear and practical way. The first, descriptive research focus on the current condition. Important thing is this is the current condition and existence or our existing situation, the current existing situation. This means it studies what is happening right now, not in the past or future. Important thing is we are focusing on right now. For example, if we study of current fitness level of the university students, so we are focusing of the current situation. Next important thing, characteristic of research, descriptive research, is uses systematic data collection method. In the research is a very important aspect. This research is a planned, systematic and scientific process. So, especially in relation to the descriptive research, we are also use the data collection method in each and everything in planned, systematic way. This means data is collected in an organized way and scientific way, the using of the different type of tool, just like the questionnaire, observation, test or survey. For instance, measuring the student endurance, just like using standard test, like just like we use the Cooper test, is systematically approach. The important thing is test should be valid, test should be reliable. We generally use to collect the information, but each and everything is planned and systematic way. Next characteristics of descriptive research is involve large sample size, because so many studies we conduct. So some studies in focus of small sample size, some studies in medium sample size, and some studies is a huge number of, so you can collect the sample. So in this discussing about the characteristic of descriptive research, an important thing is the large sample size. To get the accurate and reliable results, we go for the large sample size. So descriptive research generally use studies of large group of the population. Important thing is we increase the number of sample. This is directly related to the increase the reliability of research. Next important characteristic of descriptive research is does not manipulate the variable. Because in the research we are focusing of variable, some output variables, some dependent variables, some independent variables. Output variables mean dependent variable and some independent variables. So sometime we find out the effect of the variables. We manipulate the one variable to find out the effect of the variable to the others. But in that case of descriptive research, does not manipulate the variables. So these research only observe, descriptive research we observe only and record the existing situation without the changing anything. We cannot change variable, we cannot manipulate the variables. Variables are same, but we only observe and record the existing situation. So it studies thing as their nature occur, just like we observe in a natural setting and collect the information. Next important thing is method used in the descriptive research, because different type of method to collecting the data. So many method used on the descriptive research. Number one is the survey method. Survey method is a type of descriptive research generally used to collect the information from a large number of people. Researcher use the questionnaire, interview, opinion form to get the data about the attitude, opinion, behavior, interest, experience of the populations. The important thing, this survey method help the researcher to understand the current situation and condition of the population. Survey method also help, just like it's a simple, economical, useful for data collection, the large amount of data in a less period of time. This is very important characteristic of survey method. Survey method also widely used in education, physical education, sport and social sciences research. So this is the survey method. It is example in a survey method. First, the descriptive research method used to collect the information from the large number of population about their opinion, attitude, behavior and experiences. But survey method means we collect the information with the help of survey. So how we collect the information and how we provide the existence information, just like first we define the what type of the objectives you are, to clearly identify the purpose of survey, what type of survey you use and it should be clear. And second is define the population. So the important thing is the identify the target populations. It means your sample is which your sample and it means your target population. Next is develop the questionnaire. After the finalizing of sample of target populations, we go for the development of questionnaire. Sometimes we used already developed questionnaire for a specific purpose to prepare a set of clear and simple relevant questionnaire to collect the required data. Next is select the sample from the population. So we use a different kind of appropriate sampling method to select the appropriate sample, and after that we collect the data to distribute the questionnaire, conduct the interview, collect the responses, and after that we record the information in proper way. And after the collection of data, we go for the data analysis, and after the data analysis we go for the interpretation, the result, and draw the conclusion. And all these process, this is the survey method to collect the information from the existing situation in relation to the descriptive research. Next is the generally which type of method used in descriptive research. Second is observation method. After the survey method, we go for observation method. The observation means we just observe and record the information. Sometimes in a natural setting, sometime in experimental setting, but in descriptive research we just focus in the natural setting. In this method, the researcher carefully observe behavior without any kind of interference. You just watch and see. The observation method, simple. This is the process how to observe, how to record the information with the help of the observation method. Generally, first we define the objective. So what is the objective of your observation and what type of situations you want to be observed. First you will finalize. It means choose natural setting or situation where the behavior you want to observe. Next, decide what to do, observe, to what kind of things you want to observe. To you should decide first. The first important thing is the identify the behavior, for example event, and it kind of the activity to be observed, and criteria for recording. So you should first clarify all these things. Next important thing after the observation, to prepare the observation plan, how you observe. So you have any plan, because the research is a systematic process and planned and scientific process. So select the observation method, which type of observation method you use to collect the information in current situation. Next is conduct the observation and recorded data. It means the observe the behavior or event carefully and record the data accurately, systematically. And after that we go for the analyzing all these things. Observation method having some key features. Number one is data is collected in natural setting. You should collect the data in natural setting. Next importance, no direct questioning is involved. You just sit and observe. So no direct involvement is used in the descriptive research. Useful for studying the actual behavior event, just like if you want to see the actually what or he or she behave like in a specific situation, so you go for the descriptive research and observation method. And can be participant or non-participantly. So sometimes we participantly, can be not participantly, and provide direct and realistic information, and widely used generally for physical education, and social sciences researchers. Next is the case study method. Case study method means the focus on depth study in a single individual, group, or situation. So case study means depth study. It means you describe of an individual in a depth, just like case study or single individual, or you go for a specific group. This is the case study method. Here we will discuss. In that case, important thing is to select the define the case. Just like medical science is specific case, and in the field of physical education, if we want to conduct the case study of any player, so we should decide and which type of case you want to case study. Plan the studies, how you can conduct the case studies. So first you plan, as you know very well about of the research is a plan and systematic process. And after that, the collecting of data information using various techniques such as conduct the interview, observation, collect the record and documents, photograph, etc. And after that we should organize and manage the data, because we have the different type of data, so we should organize in a proper way. After that we can analyze, interpret and prepare the specific type of reports. The case study have different key features, just like is depth study in a single case. You should take single sample, single case, and we go for the depth study. Next, use multiple source of data, because we are collecting a different type of data, so we should use a different method or multiple sources of data collections. Explore complex issues in detail and help the understanding the cause, process and outcome, and useful for generating the hypothesis and gaining the practical insight. So this is the process to conduct the case study method. Last one is the correlation studies. It means this method, correlation studies, means used to find out the relationship between the two variables. Simple, one variable is independent variable, the other is dependent variable. So both are having a relationship or not. So through the correlation studies, we try to find out the relationship. Just like giving the example of your study time is directly related to your performance in academics. So how your study times and the effect of your performance in academics, to try to find out the relationship with the help of the case studies, correlation studies. So this is the process to complete the correlation studies. Number one is, first we identify the problems, means clearly I define the research problem and variables what you want to study, and after that select the variable and which type of independent variable, which type of dependent variable, and after that selected the sample. So we find out the sample to select the representative sample from the population in a proper way, use a specific or proper techniques to collect the sample size or sample, and measure the variable, to measure the each variable in a natural setting to collect the information, and after that we collect the data, and after arrange the data and analyze the data, and after the analysis we find out the how the both variables is related or not, correlated or not. So important thing is they have correlation is some key features. This means no manipulation of variable, we just find out the relationship. Examine the relationship as a natural setting. So we just focus on natural setting, we cannot manipulate any variables just like the other researchers. Here we just find out the current status, find out information on different variable, and after that in current situation we find out the one variable how affect the others one. But the relationship can be positive, negative, zero, and does not establish the cause and effect relationship in this type of research. Next is the developmental studies. In the descriptive research, the method of data collection. So developmental studies are used to study change that over time in the population or variable. In a simple word, this method helps us to understand how something develop, how something grow and change, especially in the field of physical education. This is very useful because many aspects like fitness, skill, performance improve gradually over time. So this is play a very important role. So here is two type of researches, just like cross-sectional studies and longitudinal studies in the developmental studies generally used. Next is in the descriptive research, which type of tool generally we use to in the data collection process. The data collection tool used in descriptive research, these tools help the researcher to collect the accurate and proper and reliable data. Just like the questionnaire is a set of written questions giving to the respondent or subjects, and he giving our answer, and after that we collect the information. For example, if you want to know the student physical activity habits, so you can ask the questions like how many days you perform the exercise in a week. So this method is useful to collect the information in large group in a very short and specific time. Second is the interview. In interview, the researcher asks the question, sometimes face to face, sometimes online, or sometimes verbally, to collect the information. Important thing is it's provide detail and depth information of the subjects. Next is the observation schedule. Observation means we observe in a natural setting collect, just record the information. Important thing is the researcher observe the behavior and record it using the a specific structure format. It is means format it should be designed scientifically in a planned and proper way, just like the observing how students perform different exercise in a class, and nothing there performs according to their fixed schedule. Next important thing is rating scale. This is the method of data collection in descriptive research is one of this is a rating scale. The rating scale generally used to measure the degree or level of particular quality. Rating, we giving the scale, generally 60% first class, 45% and above second class, 45% below in third class. So we set a standard of rating scale. On the basis of it, so we giving the excellence, good, average and poor. So this is the process to mark from good and bad. Next is checklist. This is the process of data collection. Generally used in the research, a checklist is a type of tool where the researcher mark yes or no, present and absent. For example, checklist whether a player is following proper warm-up steps. So each step is marked as done or not, we giving the tick. So this is the process to collect the information with the help of checklist. If you are present today or not, we just tick. This is called a checklist process to collect the information. Next important thing here we discuss in very short the importance in the field of physical education of descriptive research. Just like to understand the fitness level of the athlete is helpful, and this is also helpful to identify the participation of trend in sporting activities. And third one is evaluate teaching method in physical education, because in physical education we use a different type of teaching method. So how you evaluate which method is good and which method is not giving a proper results. So on the basis of descriptive research we can find out all these things. Next is the assess the health and physical perform pattern, how pupil performs and how pupil having the health status in a different for example the health status of UP, Bihar and different state. So we just find out the current status and then we can compare. So this is the important thing in the field of physical education and sports. And what type of advantage of descriptive research especially? The first advantage of descriptive research generally they provide the detailed information about the real situation. We just collect the data in a natural setting and collect the information in real situation. So descriptive research help us to understand what is actually happening in the field in a natural setting. Next is help the policy making and planning, because the data collected can be used by the school, colleges and sport authorities to make a better decision. It means we giving the current situation, government use of current situation has helped to design the new policies and planning for future research. Just like the recently university launched new education policy on the basis of the current status of the Indian education systems. Next important thing, the easy to conduct with the large population, because using the tool like questionnaire and survey in descriptive research, the researcher can collect the data in the large number of population. It is very easy to collect the huge number of data or huge number of population data in a very short times and in a reliable way. Next is the useful foundation for the experimental research. This is the very important concept, the useful as the foundation for experimental research. This is the descriptive research to establish the foundation. Baseline data is very important, otherwise you, after the experiment how you can find out the changes or improvement in the performance or any kind of things. So on the basis of baseline data play very important role in that case. The baseline data which help the researcher to design further studies. For example, after they identify low fitness level, an experimental study can be conducted to test new training program. So after the training program simply practically highly useful or not, they help to understand the real world condition. So first we find out the level baseline data, then we conduct the research, and after that we find out the data and then we compare, and after that comparison then we reach a specific of conclusions about our training program is working or not. And this lectures, thank you participants. Today we discuss the descriptive research. In this lecture, one of the main type of research based on method. Method means collection, analyzing, interpretation of research. We understood that a descriptive research focus on describing the present situation, just like it answered the question, just like what, where, when, and how, but not why. This is the important thing. So we also learn its objectives, such as the describing the characteristics, identify the pattern, and trained finding the relationship between the variable and providing the baseline data for future research. Then we discuss some key characteristics of descriptive research. It is systematic, non-experimental, and focus on the real life situation. And finally, we understood its important and advantages, especially in the field of physical education and sports sciences, where it's helpful to understand the fitness level, participation trend, teaching effectiveness, and performance pattern. So, my dear learner, in the last, the descriptive research help us to see and understand the reality clearly before the making the decision. The important thing of the descriptive research is helpful to see the reality in the form of clarity for and before the making any kind of the decision. In the next class, we will move forward and study another type of research method. Thank you once again, my dear learner.